So we start with differentiators, and I'm kind of passionate about this. And why differentiators are important is a lot of people are constantly asking me, what cert should I get? What should I do to help enter the workforce successfully? And I kind of constantly surprise people with my answer. A lot of what people want to do doesn't help positively differentiate them within the industry. So I wanted to start talking about what differentiators are, why we do differentiators, is because we really want to separate the way you think about differentiators so that you can approach the problems differently and gain those valuable characteristics. And so let's talk about what differentiators are. Differentiators are positive characteristics that separate, aka differentiate, an entity from the majority. For individuals, they provide the opportunity to take their personal and professional life to an entirely new level of excellence. And so let's get into some examples and talk about this a little bit. So, I'm gonna pick on Microsoft here. Is Microsoft Windows a differentiator skill set in our industry? No, not really. I mean, pretty much everybody has or can use Microsoft Windows, right?
Especially as a developer, an engineer. My roommate is a technical editor, and she watched the streams one time. She's like, well, those are actually skills. And I was like, well, in your industry, they are skills. But if you're trying to become a system admin, a software developer, a DevOps engineer, those aren't going to be differentiating skills to you. As a hiring manager, we're going to look through that and say, well, this person has what Microsoft Word, and this other person has a year of experience with X, Y, or Z technology that's more relevant. So they're not as much of a differentiator in our industry. And sorry, Brian, it was a funny comment that she made to me, and I was like, yeah, that's very true. But for our industry, it is not a differentiator.
But on the flip side, one of the things that in our industry that is a differentiator, and this is kind of leaning ahead to today's topic, is Linux. A lot of when we're looking to hire people, we prefer to have people with Linux skills because most of our production software is running on Linux, either VMs or Linux operating systems. And so that, if I look at about 10% of the resumes we receive have Linux skills. And so that, is a subset, and that would positively differentiate people. And so as you're trying to gain those skills, you want those skills that are going to put you in the minority that positively differentiate you. And so those are some examples of the skills. And so start thinking about those. When people ask about certificates, a lot of the easy certificates everybody has. So a lot of times that's really not as much of a differentiator as people think. And so if we start talking about differentiators, I like to talk a little bit about how to achieve differentiators and to get those things. And most people, it's in our human nature, follow routines. We get up at the same time every day. We hopefully take a shower every day. Generally, you have a routine. I'll pick up my coffee here. It's my routine in the morning. I have my nice cup of coffee. I'm sure everybody has their beverage of choice in the morning. But where I'm going with this is routine tends to fit our lifestyles. Most people in computer science like routine. And so as you want to start getting differentiator skill sets, a lot of times that means we have to step outside of our comfort zone. And so, a good example of that is for a lot of you is probably getting up this morning, coming to the working groups, right? That would be another good example of differentiation. I'm sure when I look at the attendance of the, 400 or 500 people we talk to, there's a smaller subset that's probably less than 10% that actually attended this morning. And that probably puts you a little bit outside of your comfort zone. You're probably like, I don't know if I'm going to get up and listen to these crazy guys in the morning. I'll try it once. I'm sure that's what a lot of you are thinking. And so that's where you have to step outside your comfort zone to gain these differentiators. And I like to prepare people for this, because what happens when you step outside your comfort zone is it's like a magnet, right? Is you're sucked right back to your comfort zone. You get a little bit scared or you get a little nervous, like, oh, this isn't fun, right? I'm gonna go back to bed this morning. I'm gonna go back and do what's easy. And so gaining positive differentiators isn't easy because you have to step outside your comfort zone. And at first, it's going to be just pulling you back like that magnet. And so we want to prepare people that that's going to be their experience, okay? Now, the other thing that I like to do when I tell people to gain positive differentiators is, do it slowly and steadily. If you're learning a new skill at work, spend a little bit of extra time reading on that skill on the internet, or that technology or that topic, right? And then apply it at work. Use that time where you're using that skill and needing it to practice improving upon it. The best time to learn how to do something is when you need to do it, right? We'll talk about some of these skills that you'll need to learn later. It's hard to just read them and learn them. You've got to really, I'm a firm believer in applying the skills, and that's why we have Interclypse partner with us to do the incubators to drive home those skills through hands-on experience. And I feel like that's a good way to learn. So learning those is a key way to do it. And a lot of times you spend, an extra hour every week just learning some of those skills at work. It doesn't take much. Most people, shoot out the door, 9 to 5. So if you work just an extra hour each week, over a course of a year, I always love it when I'm doing this in a classroom too, to ask the students how many hours a year that is. Invariably, some student shouts out the wrong answer. I look straight at the teacher and I say fail, right? And God bless the students for shouting the wrong answer. I enjoy that in that presentation. But you're gaining roughly 50 hours. So let's round down to that's an extra week. If we just take very simple terms, an extra week worth of learning throughout the year. And that's more than most people. So if you do a little bit more than the minimum throughout the year, you get way ahead of other people, right? Do you know anybody that takes a week off every year to learn? I don't. Right? I know a lot of people that take a week off every year to take a vacation, but nowhere in that agenda is learning. So if you do it slowly and steadily every day, I'll actually argue that you'll get a lot more in the long run. Nibbling and biting it off every day, you'll learn more too than taking a week off to learn. Yeah.
Up I have myself muted. Consistency is key to it. Habit, repetition, building that time into your schedule to constantly reinforce what it is you're doing is going to be far better than a week long big bang. I'm going to do all this learning in a week, and then you're going to forget it in 2 weeks. I mean, that's school has a purpose, and we always encourage people to pursue their degree and finish their degree. But you've probably recognized this type of learning where you're cramming for a test. You go and you sit down for a big test. You might have worked on something for 2-3 weeks, and as soon as the test is over, you go and you just brain dump everything. You just forget it all, and you're on to the next thing. And that's the idea behind this, is just the repetition to it, the consistency in it. If you're in a comp sci program where you're doing programming, you might not learn all of the fundamentals in the first class that you have in your first semester of school, but the repetition of learning object-oriented programming over multiple languages starts to reinforce those concepts in your head over the long term. So
I just read Atomic Habits last week again.
Oh, really?
And when you mentioned the repetition, one of the key things in that book is making these subtle changes in your life where it's just a small habit all of a sudden forming little habits.
Yeah.
One of the things I think of, which is kind of interesting, is they say, just start going to the gym. Don't even work out. Just go to the gym every day. Change.
Like just drive by there, or just
drive in, go in, change, sit down on the bench, and then just leave. And they said eventually what happens is you're in the habit of going to the gym. And then they say, well, while I'm here, I might as well actually do something, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting concept, right? Just develop the habit of going to the gym every day. Now that the habit's there, what they're doing is essentially breaking that comfort zone, right? They're getting you, now it's a habit. So now it's within my comfort zone. So now working out is the next step of it. So I thought it was interesting because I just read that book and we gave it to one of our teams to read to develop those things. So the other part that we were talking about as you start to differentiate yourself is also start to, look at who you're surrounding yourself with. Start building that network of, hard workers, smart people, challenging people that are going to, help raise you to the next level. And a lot of times there's going to be people that you really may normally not like, right? Because they're going to question you. You want to surround yourself with people that aren't like yourself. You want to surround yourself with people, Julio and I are a great example, yin and yang, right? I've learned a lot from Julio, and vice versa, because our personalities are different. And so we augment each other's personalities and offset, and we learn from each other. And we, often
We'll
the good
disagree about
characteristics.
things, but we'll come to a common. We'll understand where each other's coming from.
Well, that and that's, disagreeing is actually the best start to a good solution, because you're gonna disagree, and then that forces you to take the best ideas out of each of them and combine to a better solution in the end usually. And so that's why you don't want people that agree with everything you say, because ultimately you want people to challenge you and think through things. It's hard, right? People ask questions, you have to think. If you ever have to explain why or get into a discussion, the discussion actually starts you thinking about things. I know as I've taught and done more and explained more and present more, the more I speak about Exerceo, the more I do things, the more the vision in my head becomes clear. And so you want to surround yourself with people that will challenge you. You don't want people that are going to just pick a fight for no reason, but you're going to want to be around people that will have really good debates and think things through and make you a better person. And that'll support you going there. And we talked a little about getting outside the comfort zone. So we do that again. Just want to prepare you for when you want to start getting these differentiators, that you're going to be comfortable knowing that that comfort zone is going to pull you back and you're going to have to push away from it. And eventually you're going to just get to the point, I know I've kind of gotten there in the last couple of years, where I kind of get excited with new things. Like, it's part of my habit is trying new things and doing things and getting outside my comfort zone. I'm like, oh, sweet, I've never done that. Like, I kind of get excited about those things.
That's what I decided to do in my free time. I had some spare time yesterday, and I was like, know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on something that we need to work on to move some efforts forward, but I've never done it before. I had no clue where to start, and I was like, this is the thing that gets me excited is stepping out of that comfort zone and learning something new.
Yeah, I mean, oftentimes my wife will be like, oh, God, you're going to fail miserably. I'm like, yeah, probably, but I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to learn something in the process, right?
Yep.
And so getting outside that comfort zone, I often go in with the expectation, hey, it's going to be like going down a dirt road with potholes everywhere. You never know. You're going to probably end up with a lot of bruises in the process. But I enjoy the result. I learn. The next time, I'm going to go down the road, it's going to be a lot easier. And so anyway, just preparing you guys for that concept, right? It's not always easy. If it feels like it's easy, then it's going to probably require more effort.